Without our voices, we are useless. So here I am, red, white, and ruthless. It's our time now, the truth comes to light. Our president shot, but says fight, 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 fight. America's song is an anthem. There's only one, and you can have some. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? This is the song about America's fight. It's our time now. The truth comes to light. Our president shot, but says fight, fight, fight. America's song.
Okay, guys, here we are. Going back to back today. A prison story, and the one I just did. So now we're gonna do another new one. This is Red, White, and Ruthless number 6. We're at 6 already, man. I think it's been just, oh man, a week and a half or something. All right, I'm enjoying this, guys. I hope you are. Today, I'm gonna get to my notes here. Today we're going to talk about Trump and his legal issues. We're going to break them down for you. Okay, this is factual shit. Okay, these are facts. All right, this is not my opinion. I'm going to give some opinion, but unless you're a fucking moron or a liberal, you can tell the difference between fact and opinion. Okay, so there's going to be some real irregular shit that's happened in all of these. Both there's civil cases and then there's criminal cases. All right, so good to remember that a criminal case, we all know, beyond a reasonable doubt, and then a civil case just has to be more likely that it did happen than it didn't. So the threshold of, I guess, guilt or being liable would be in the civil case is a lot less. Okay, so let's start off with, well, number one is we got to remember that none of these were in play until Donald Trump decided to run for president. Okay, none of it was in play, and remember, all this shit happened years and years ago. All right, so on March 23rd, he was indicted on, Trump was indicted on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. Okay, so this had to do with the Stormy Daniels hush money payment, and that came up in the 2016 campaign. All right, so one thing to remember. So what happened is this $130,000 was actually paid by this guy Cohen. Now Cohen is a piece of shit. He was convicted. He was actually in prison when they decided to use him as a witness, and he was in prison for lying to Congress, among other things. So he's a convicted liar, and he hates Trump. All right, but they're going to use him as essentially their star witness. Now he used to be Trump's lawyer too. Which to me is kind of like another area where isn't there some confidentiality in the shit you're doing? But of course, if you're the state of New York, you can work through all that shit with some pretty language, I guess, and a liberal judge. That would be opinion. Okay. So now it was $130,000 that Cohen paid to Stormy Daniels. Now, what happened is, according to Cohen, is that after he paid that money, Trump wasn't paying him back the $130,000, and he was irritated about that. And so he met with Trump, and then Trump decided that he was going to call it this is according to Cohen, he was going to call it a campaign expense and pay it off monthly, a monthly expense throughout the course of the campaign, and then he would be ultimately paid back for it. And so that's what happened. There was apparently 34 payments. Now, here's the thing. There's 34 indictments, there was 34 monthly payments. So there's one $130,000 number that needed to be paid off, but there was, again, 34 payments. So how chicken shit is that to charge him with 34 individual crimes for one essential lump sum? Now, what they're saying that this shouldn't have been a campaign identified as a campaign expense. It should have been identified as a personal expense. So it was just like a falsifying business records, which is ordinarily a misdemeanor. Okay, ordinarily a misdemeanor. So what they had to figure out to make it into a felony is they had to show that that misdemeanor was in I got the language right here. So essentially, I'll just try to explain it the best I can. Essentially, they had to find that the misdemeanor was part of a bigger a felony situation, and so the felony they decided had to do with I got it right here. So it was it had to have the intent to conceal another crime. Okay, so I got it right here. The prosecution had to prove that Trump not only falsified records but did so to conceal another crime. The other crime was argued to be a violation of the federal law. That's important. Federal law by exceeding campaign contributions. Contribution limits or failing to report in-kind contributions. So think about that. You've got a state attorney general who is now enforcing federal law. They can't do that. Okay, well, in this case they did. But so if you're to commit a federal offense, who tries you? All the January 6 people, that was all federal shit. They were dealt with by federal attorney general, DOJ, all that. So how the hell does a state attorney general enforce a federal law? You would never see a state attorney general try somebody for violating a federal law, but in this case, they got away with it. And that's what it says. The legal problem is federal laws are not state crimes, which raise serious questions about whether New York was stretched beyond its normal application. I mean, fuck. How did they get away with that shit? But they did. Okay. Now, the only reason they did that was to make it a felony. Okay. Remember that. Make it a fucking felony. Okay. They wanted to say he had 34 felonies. That's why they charged him for each individual payment. Would they normally do that? Fuck no, and I'm going to tell you. So during that period of time, this is the piece of shit Bragg, the New York, I believe he's New York Attorney General. During that same time, 52 to 50, I believe it was 55%. I have the figures right here of felonies were being reduced to misdemeanors. Okay, that includes violent crimes. That includes the whole gamut. Okay, they were over 50% of the fucking crimes that were felonies that could be charged as felonies. They were reducing to misdemeanors in New York. But with our ex-president, now president, they decided, no, we're not going to do that. Now again, where's the victim? Okay, I don't know where the victim is. The money got paid. The money got paid back. I don't know how to. I don't know how to identify a victim. Nobody got hurt. So instead of just going with the misdemeanor, they went with the felony. They pushed it and they used federal law to do it, which they shouldn't be able to do. So, and that's why Trump is appealing it and and probably at some point is going to win because I mean, common sense should dictate that they shouldn't have been able to do that shit. Um, the judge allowed it to by arguing that Trump intended to cover up a violation of election laws, but it was unclear if New York State could actually apply the law this way. So yeah, that's what they did. And here's the data right here: is in 2022, 52% of felony cases for Bragg, that's Alvin Bragg, they were reduced to misdemeanors. And in 2023, 54% of the fucking felonies were downgraded to misdemeanors. So here, this piece of shit is downgrading, serious felonies, over half of them. But when you have Trump, he's gonna work hard to apply a law that he shouldn't even be using to increase it from a misdemeanor to a felony. That's the piece of shit Alvin Bragg is. Okay. Bragg offered lenient deals to repeat offenders. It didn't matter. Okay. He weak on crime, typical fucking liberal. Okay. And that's what he did. But as a result, Trump did get convicted of the 34 felonies. And where are we at with that? They're on real shaky ground as far as in the future, because we're going to see this probably go to the Supreme Court, I would say. But hey, newsworthy info about Stormy Daniels. What happened to that bitch? All right. Here's a bitch who spent a good portion of her life with her mouth open and getting paid for it. And for 130 grand, she couldn't keep it fucking shut. Okay. That's what I think about Stormy Daniels. But she received a settlement. She sued Trump, received a settlement of $450,000 on the as a result of a later, in addition to the 130,000. But guess what happened? Stormy got fucking greedy. Yeah, Stormy got greedy. All right. So she spent a whole bunch of money in lawsuits, a couple of different lawsuits against Trump, trying to get him to pay more. And guess what happened? She lost, and she owes Trump over $600,000 in legal fees. Okay. She's got to pay Trump's legal fees. So the 450 and the 130 got all ate up by her $600,000 in legal fees that she had to pay. The bitch got greedy. All right. She should have just kept her mouth shut from the beginning, because she did not end up well on that one. So, what's next? So that one, let's recap it. Alvin Bragg, when he ran for his position, he ran on a premise that he was going to hold Trump accountable. So it's all political. I mean, it was political for him. Then when he gets the position, I'll give him that. He did do what he said, but did he do it in an ethical, in a way that provides justice to America? I don't think so. You look at the crime, and you look at what happened, and look at the timing of it. It's all bullshit, and liberals love it. They 34 felonies, Oh, shut the fuck up. When this is the way liberals, this is how they use law enforcement against their political opponents. Okay. This is what liberals do. And I hope there was a time where I just wanted to see, I was thinking, if Trump wins, I don't want to see more politicians go to jail or be indicted and blah, blah. Now I'm different. I want to see them all go to jail. I want Pam Bondi. I want Kash Patel to be arresting these liberal fucks. Okay. Put them in jail. I'm totally okay. Schiff, go to jail. Fossey, go to jail. Pelosi, go to jail. There's cases against all of them. Um, the other one that was the used to be the Republican, now she's a piece of shit. Um, I can't remember her name, but anyway, she's the daughter of the former vice president Cheney. Yeah, Cheney. She can go to jail too. Fuck her. All right. They're all shit. That's opinion. Okay, that's not fact. That's opinion. I think it's close to fact, but anyways, all right, we'll move on. I'm getting my blood pressure's going up. Number two, all right, federal election interference case. I'm gonna kind of read this one because this one. So in 23, Trump was federally indicted in Washington, D.C. on 4 charges relating to attempts to overturn the 2020 presidential election results, including conspiracy to defraud the U.S. and obstruct an official proceeding. In this one, the trial was delayed pending a Supreme Court decision on presidential immunity. And the court ruled that while presidents have immunity for official acts, this does not extend to unofficial acts. Consequently, on November 25th, the case was dismissed without prejudice. So what they were saying is that if whatever actions that Trump took while he was in office, if they were essentially in the course of his duties as president, that he cannot official duties, he can't be charged. Now, here's the thing that to consider is we all remember at that time we thought we were getting fucked. We thought that election was a sham. There's still shit that hasn't been fully explained. Where did almost 14 million votes go? Okay, consistently there has been since Obama first ran, there has been a total of, and I can't remember the exact total of votes, but it's been pretty close to the same. But in this last election in 24, excuse me, let me back up. In the 2020 election, there was about 14 million more votes than there has been in all the other elections since Obama took office the first time and in 2024 as well. So 14 million extra votes in 2020 is what it seems like. So that's pretty, where did they go? I mean, the population's been going up. So that's a weird thing. I'm not saying it equates to voter fraud. There was a lot of things that were unexplained, like why are they covering up windows? We all saw that. They were covering up windows to hide what they were doing. There was people signing ballots. There was people filling out ballots. There's video of all of that shit. And so what happened at that time, seems to me, is that Trump saw all the shit we were seeing. How does Trump not think the same thing that everyone else was thinking, is that we've got some widespread voter fraud going on? So that's what he said. He said we need to figure this shit out, and I think that's reasonable at the time. And what had to happen is they had to go through and investigate all of the allegations to see whether or not there was truly voter fraud. That's what we do. Okay, but Trump didn't have those investigations weren't done. By January 6th, those investigations took a while. All right, and they say that there was no sign of voter fraud. Now, I don't think that you can get a fair investigation by liberals into whether or not their candidate was improperly elected. That's just my opinion. So I don't know. But I do know that at that time, if I was Trump, I would be thinking there's some hanky shit going on. Right. And that's what he did. And so that's what they ultimately decided is, basically had reason to believe there was some hanky shit going on. So, so he questioned it, and that's okay to question. And by the way, there's videos all over the place of multiple liberal politicians doing the same shit that Trump did. They just don't like it when it's a conservative, a Republican doing. So anyways, we'll move on from that because that was dismissed, and probably we're done with that. Then there was the Georgia election racketeering case and I think this is kind of the same deal. In August 2023, Trump faced state charges in Georgia, attempting to overturn the 2020 elections. Now, remember, this is Fannie Willis, that piece of shit. That's opinion. We all remember the infamous Fannie Williams on the stand talking all ghetto about how because she had hired her boyfriend. I forget his name. I don't have it written down here, I don't think. But yeah, so she hired her boyfriend and paid him like over $1 million to try this case against Trump. Now the problem is that after she pays him the $1 million, I mean, first of all, you can't hire your boyfriend. Second of all, you can't give him all this money and then you going on lavish vacations and shit like that. And all of that shit she ultimately got in trouble for it because she lied about it. And ultimately she was disgraced and disgusted. Everyone was disgusted with her. And that case, well, she finally got disqualified from dealing with that case. So it doesn't mean the case itself is gone, but there ain't nobody going to touch that case. It's just stupid at this point. It's a train wreck, and Trump's already been elected. That's really what they were trying to stop. And she made it well known that she was going to go after Trump. She made it well known. So it was another politically motivated case. But yeah, that's the other indictment that the liberals are all happy, proud of. Y'all wake the fuck up. All right, so now we've got civil trials. All right, so the first civil trial was this John, I don't know how, Carroll, defamation and sexual abuse case. This one kind of surprised me. So this is a civil case, and it supposedly happened. Oh my gosh, when was it? In the mid 90s. So this chick, Carol, that's her last name, Jean Carroll. She testified that in the mid 90s, Trump sexually assaulted her in a dressing room at the Bergdorf Goodman at a Manhattan department store. So the witnesses were two of her friends. Okay, I don't know if they're friends. I mean, they probably were friends, but the friends just happened to be. Now, let me back up. So what she alleges is that this happened. Trump sexually assaulted her in the dressing room, and then afterwards she went and told her friends. Now, one of her friends was a news reporter, and the other one was an author. She wrote books and shit like that. So, what perfect positions to be in to make money off of this shit in the future. All right. Now, mind you, she didn't say shit about it to anyone, nobody. Okay, until 2000 and I think it was 16 or 15, just before the 2016 election, where he got. No, I take that back. I'm sorry. Till the 2020 election. Let me verify that real quick. Yeah, it was 2020. So think about this. In remember 2006. So why didn't she talk sooner? Okay. Why didn't she ever report it to the cops or anything? Why didn't she report it when he ran in 2016? Now remember, he wasn't supposed to win in 2016. They had that on lock. Okay, they had Hillary Clinton. She might as well just pack her bags and start loading up because she was going to the White House in 2016. That's what they thought. That's what the polls had Clinton winning. It was a done deal. Remember that? Yeah, I remember that, because even I thought I'm voting for Trump, but I kind of recognize that Clinton's going to win, but I still voted. Then what happens? Well, that's when we get to find out that the polls are shit. Okay, the polls are shit, just like they were in 24. The polls are shit. Okay, um, so so they didn't need to pull that trigger in 2020, or excuse me, 2016, because he wasn't supposed to win. My thoughts anyway. That's my opinion. But in 2020, they weren't so sure. So that's when they pull this trigger. Now, mind you, liberals have a history of using fake sexual assaults as accusations against Republican uh, nominees or politicians or whatever. And I'm not saying they're all they're all bullshit. I'm not saying that. I am saying that they use it, and they have been proven to be liars. Okay, and I'm going to take you back to. We're going to talk some more about this, but I wanted to mention this because where is it? I got it written down here. Brett Kavanaugh, okay, Supreme Court Justice. All right. So this Judy Monroe Layton accused Kavanaugh, and I think it was, I want to say it was when he was in college. It was when he was a lot younger, but she accused Kavanaugh of raping her in the back seat of a car, her and somebody else. But she was adamant she was raped by Kavanaugh. And what she did was because remember, Kavanaugh is a liberal, or excuse me, is a Republican conservative Supreme Court justice now, but he was appointed by Trump. Okay, so of course they're going to fight tooth and nail to keep conservatives out of there, and this is one of the ways that they tried to stop him from going into the Supreme Court. So this Layton chick, she sends an email to, at the time, Senator Kamala Harris. Shocking. Kamala Harris gets an email, and well, they said it in an email, so it must be true. So right away they throw that out there and start accusing him of raping her, and they've got all these demonstrations about Kavanaugh's a rapist and all this kind of shit. And they didn't do any of their fucking homework. All right. This Layton chick said she lived in California. She didn't even live in California. She lived in Kentucky. She's decades older than Kavanaugh. So I mean, she just the whole thing was horseshit. But as we know, liberals are really good at spreading horseshit. Okay, they didn't bother to really vet the story at all, because that's the truth to liberals is not really what's important. That's my opinion. All right. Before you really, because Kavanaugh's married, he's got a family, he's a judge. Look at the damage that you're potentially doing to this guy by accusing him. Just being a human being, you wouldn't want to make an accusation like that unless you know it's true. Do your fucking background on this. They didn't do it. So, but they got their bang for the buck because it didn't get proven as bullshit until later on, and the damage had been done, but nobody believed it anyway, and he was appointed to Supreme Court justice. And later on, this Layton chick admitted to lying. And like I said, it turns out she's a left-wing fucking nut job trying to destroy his career, and that's just the way they do it. It's really sad. This chick, in my opinion, should be in jail. She should go to jail. There should be criminal prosecution of people like this when they do it, because there are absolutely women, children, and probably men. I mean, yeah, but there's people out there who do get sexually assaulted, and to use that crime in that way, it really minimizes the importance of holding those people accountable. It makes people doubt doubt your story when you come out like that, and you're nothing but a fucking liar, you know. Because hey, man, if for example, if Kavanaugh would have did it, I wouldn't support him. You know, I don't want a piece of shit guy who sexually assaults women as a Supreme Court justice. No, as a politician, I want him in jail. All right, but damn, you know, do your homework. You know, make sure you're right. It's terrible. So back to this, you know, back to the story. So one of the things that a couple of the things that bothered me about this was the only thing they used was this Carol's testimony and of her saying it happened. Now she said that Trump raped her. Okay. Now, according to this, Carol Martin was one of her friends. She's the TV anchor. She testified that Carol had informed her about the incident days later after it had occurred, but she advised her against going public. And then the other one was Lisa Birnbach. She's an author and a journalist, and she testified that Carol had called her immediately after the alleged rape assault, describing it as a rape. Okay, so you've got three testimonies, and essentially I mean, what they're using is that at the time that it happened, she notified her friends within days. But you're really reliant on whether Carol is being truthful or not as to whether it happened or not. Maybe she did tell you know, these friends that it happened. I don't fucking know. You know, who knows? They weren't eyewitnesses to the shit. So what else did they have? So then they use a do y'all remember when Trump was talking to the reporter and he got caught on a hot mic saying that something about grabbing by the pussy? All right, we all remember that one. So this happened 15 years before I think it was like I want to say 2008. I don't remember, but it was multiple years before when Trump had made this statement, and they allowed that to be used as basically his ideology about women, which, I mean, I'm going to break it to you, ladies, and anyone else. Guys talk shit. He was talking shit to a guy. He didn't know he was on a hot mic. It happens. Okay. We talk shit. Okay. And any man who says they don't talk shit like that, you're talking to a woman. All right. Because guys just do it. You know, and I shouldn't say all men. Not all men talk exactly like that. But Trump is one of those guys that does. I talk shit like that. You ask my wife, she drives her crazy. But I talk shit, you know, and most of the guys that I've ever hung around with, we talk shit like that. All right. And it's just, that's dudes, man. That's dudes. All right. So don't be offended. Just accept it. We know when not to say that shit. And Trump didn't know he was on a hot mic. All right. So he said it. It's just ridiculous to use that against him. And I mean, years before you know, this trial. And the other thing that happened is they allowed I believe there was 2, possibly 3 people, women, who came forward and said Trump basically like sexually accosted them, you know, grabbed them, did so, or his, you know, I don't know the exact story from each of them. Let's see if I got it here. Got it somewhere, I thought. Yeah. It was 2 other women who accused Trump of similar misconduct, and that suggested a pattern of behavior. Okay, now remember, this probably wouldn't have, if it was a criminal trial, they probably wouldn't have let that in. But since it was a civil trial, they did. And these are completely unproven um, situations where these two women are describing. Unproven. They've never, pursued anything against Trump. They're just saying it happened. So you could find two people anywhere and say, it does to me in that situation and it being Trump, come on, that's bullshit. There's a lot of bullshit going on in this, and the I think the judge, he was an Obama appointee, he was a liberal judge, not Obama. I'm sorry, it was Bill Clinton appointed the judge. So yeah, so we've got a liberal judge, or he wouldn't have been appointed by Bill Clinton um, over this, and he allows some shady ass evidence to come in, and so there's that one, and he ultimately ended up having to pay her because during uh, at some point in, I don't know, all the times that Trump said it, but he had talked shit about this Carol, at various times, and that's why they were suing him for the statements he made about her, uh, you know, being not very pretty and not his type and all this kind of stuff. He was basically calling bullshit on her story, and so she sued him for that too. And it ended up being, I think, like $90 million, something like that. That the it was 5 million in damages and 80 million in additional charges because he spoke negatively about Carol. So I mean, where do you come up with this amount of money? I mean, that's ridiculous. It's insane. Um, but it's Trump. They're trying to break him. They're trying to break the dude. Take all his money. So there's the breakdown of the Carroll civil case. So now let's move into the New York civil fraud case. Now this one's a bunch of horse shit, if I ever heard of horse shit before. So in in New York, of course it's New York because that's where you got to be to sue Trump. It's very popular there. He was found liable for financial fraud relating to the overvaluation of assets by the Trump organization. In 2024, he was ordered to pay $354 million fucking dollars, which he's appealed. So here's the thing, and this really pisses me off. So essentially, Trump is getting a loan he's a businessman. They get loans all the time. So he's getting a loan to build some shit. I don't remember what it was. I probably have it written down here, but it doesn't really matter. So as collateral, he's using Mar-a-Lago as his collateral. So what happens when you use anything as collateral? I get this cigar going. What am I doing, man? I'm talking too much. I guess that's what I'm supposed to do. So, sorry guys. So, anyways, clump. So he's using Mar-a-Lago, and what happens is when you get a loan and you use something as collateral, you got to get it evaluated and get an appraisal. So that's what he does. He gets an appraisal on it, and they say it's worth, $34 million, whatever the case may be. And so he gets the loan. What happens then? He pays the loan off with interest. Paid it off early, actually. And everything's done. Okay. So the testimony of the chief, Alan Weisselberg, the former chief financial officer of the Trump organization, testified. He acknowledged that certain valuations were presented in a manner that could be considered misleading. Now, when you get lawyers in a room, they can twist and turn up. I've dealt with a number of lawyers, and if any of you have dealt with lawyers, they have the ability to twist and turn facts into questionable shit. That's what they get paid to do. All right. So, but when you go back to it, he got the loan, he paid it off. Where's the victim? Both parties, meaning Trump and the state, provided financial experts who debated the appropriateness of the asset valuations and the methodologies employed. So they're each saying, "This is how I did it. This is how I came up with the price, and that's how we did it." The bank approved it. I mean, they're the one that is at risk. It's not the state. Um, and then the state, of course, they said, well, that's not right because we did it and we came up with a much lower valuation. I don't know what their valuation was, but it was really fucking low. I should have had that info because if you heard it, it's really ridiculous. Um, but so, anyways, uh, the end game of that one is there was no victim. Who's the victim? The bank got paid back. They made money from the loan. They got paid back early. Trump got the loan, used the collateral. I mean, how would you feel if you go to buy something and you use, let's say you've got a rental house and you want to buy another rental house, and so you use your rental house as collateral, and you get $100,000 because it's the person evaluating it, appraising it, says it's worth 130. So you get $100,000, you go build another house, and you pay everything off. Everything's paid. Everything's paid. Okay, everybody's happy. The bank's happy because they got their money plus interest. You're happy because you got to build the new house, and and you own the old house. Everything's good. Then the state comes in and says, you didn't evaluate that properly. We're gonna charge you and we're gonna fine you for because you overvaluated that house. Like, I'm not a fucking appraiser. You paid the appraiser to do it. No, it's your responsibility. Whatever they come up with, you overvalued it. Whatever. How would you feel about that? I mean, it's kind of ridiculous that you would do that, or that the state would even do that. And where's the victim? I mean, there just isn't a victim in it. But again, this is Trump, and this is this is the candidate that they hate, and they're going to do anything they can to keep him out of office. And in this one, they levied a fine against him exceeding $450 million. What in the fuck are you talking about? I mean, is that nuts or what? $450 million fine that he has to pay the state with a crime where there's no victims? Nobody incurred a loss. I mean, everybody involved in the case was happy. I mean, it's insane, absolutely insane. But again, it's the Trump derangement syndrome that these people have. They want to destroy him. They want to do everything they can to keep him from being president, including breaking him. And it's sad that that's the way that liberals do business. But it didn't work because everyone saw through all this bullshit. Americans are smart. They see when you're picking on somebody, and Americans don't like bullies. Don't like bullies. And that's what they saw, is that liberals, Democrats, they were bullying Trump. They were trying to get him to step out. They were trying to get him to quit. They were trying to break him. They were trying to force him into quitting. And he wasn't having it. Absolutely was not having it. They just picked the wrong fucking guy. And now we see, as a result, some things that are happening. How to get this? There we go. All right, sorry about that. Yeah, so now we see some things that are happening in Trump world, where he's getting a little payback. It's the old fuck around, find out situation with Trump, and they fucked around, and now they're finding out. And I love it. I love it because I love the underdog, and Trump has been the underdog, uh, and now he's coming back and he's dealing with these fools. If you've seen in the paper or in the paper, old school, I guess, in the on the internet in news that Joe Biden didn't know what he was doing, and his handlers were using the auto pen. So now Trump is saying everybody who got pardoned, ain't pardoned anymore. Right? So we'll see, man. We'll see because I would like to see some of them go to jail for some of the shit they've done, and they sure as hell they tried to put that man in prison for the rest of his life. That's why they wanted 34 felonies. All right. They wanted a year for everyone. Okay. I mean, they would have loved it if they could have put him in prison the rest of his life. And to me, that's really, really, that's as bad as politics can possibly get. Now, today I've told you fact. If you can't pick out the opinion from the fact, you're probably a liberal. But the what I've provided you is factual information on as far as the criminal lawsuits and the civil lawsuits, the evidence that was used, how it was used, and so forth. And I would think that there's really only one opinion that you could come up with if you're a normal person who can make a decision without allowing the political or the politics of it to get in the way. In other words, you can't allow the fact that you hate Trump to get in the way. All right, they tried to break the guy. All right, plain and simple. They tried to break him. They tried to put him in prison, and it didn't work. So shame on him. Shame on him. But those are the cases. That's a breakdown of the cases, and I hope you enjoyed at least listening to the facts and some of my opinions. This was a very interesting one to me because it's one of the ones that liberals use so often. He's a felon, and yeah, whatever. All right, he's a felon because you created some laws and used them in a way. And that one in the 34 felonies, the law had never ever been used in that way before. Never been used like that before. Okay. Ordinarily, it would be potentially a simple accounting error, and if anything, a misdemeanor. But that wasn't good enough. Okay, that wasn't good. They had to make it into a felony, so they figured using a federal law. How they got away with that, liberal judge. That's the only way I can explain it, because that should have never happened. But anyway, it pisses me off. But every time I see Trump standing in front of that podium of the president of the United States, I feel good. The right thing ultimately happened, and liberals, you lost again. Okay, that's what I got for you today, man. I hope you liked it, and please share, comment. I'd love to see some good comments. If you want a bad one, I guess go ahead. But yeah, comment on on what you're hearing. Let me know, like the prison shit, if you like it. Let me know if you like it. If there's something you want to hear specifically about prisons, tell me, and I'll explain. I'll get into it a little bit. That's for non-prison people. I know a lot of people are listening to this are prison people, and you already know what's going down. But non-prison people, yeah, ask me a question, and I'll answer them. Throw them in the comments, send them directly to me. I don't care how you do it, but share it. Let's get this podcast out there to some more people and get bigger, and let's do this thing. All right. So I got nothing left for you today. I'm going to play my little song, and we're going to check up out of here.
We
All right, guys. Take care.